Alright, today I will be telling you how to drive a manual vehicle. The things that you will need for this is the vehicle itself. If you are looking to buy a manual vehicle, you can get them cheap, junkyard, stuff like that, especially if you're wanting to learn. Or see if somebody you know has one. And then you're also obviously going to need the keys to the vehicle. Seatbelt, you're definitely going to need that. Don't want a ticket. And the speedometer, stuff like that, it's optional. You don't have to have it, but sometimes you can use it to guess how to shift. For the driving a manual, you will need to know how many gears are in the vehicle. So you're always going to start off driving in first gear, unless you're kind of already rolling, then you can start in second. But typically put it in first gear, and obviously the car is supposed to be started. I'll start mine here in a second, but keep it in first. You need to know how many gears, that way you don't accidentally put it in the wrong gear or miss shift, which will cause your transmission to possibly break, and the transmission is what holds the gears. But so for mine, the video is going to have 4 gears. It's in an H pattern, so think of a capital H, 1, 2, or from your point of view it would be 1, 2, 3, and then 4. My reverse is all the way on the left, so you also got to keep that in mind, so that way you don't accidentally shift into reverse. So to help demonstrate this video, I will cut to the other camera that I got stationed up above me, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so now that you guys are on the camera behind me, I will explain the basis of it. There are 3 pedals. There's the gas pedal, which is right here. There's the brake pedal. These 2 are standard on basically any vehicle. And then you have the clutch. That takes it in and out of gear. So, to start it, what you want to do, push in brake, push in the clutch, make sure it's in neutral. I currently don't have a shift knob either, along with a dash, so please don't mind that. But what you do is you put it in neutral. Sometimes a good way to find that out is you just wobble the stick back and forth, and then you just release out. So now it's in neutral. If it's an older vehicle, you pump the gas a little bit. That's what I gotta do. But if it's not, you don't have to. And then you're just gonna switch your feet. Notice my right foot is halfway onto the pedal, and then you just put your left foot onto the other half, take your right foot off, and have it near the gas, just in case you have to apply some gas, and you start it. And then you just do the exact opposite. Put right foot on the right half, left foot off, push in clutch, and then since my reverse is on the left, it's different for some vehicles, sometimes it's on the right, you're going to have to put it into reverse, release brake, and lightly apply gas while slowly releasing the clutch. So for the clutch, see, when I want to stop, you press in the clutch all the way. I'll explain that here in a second. You take it out of reverse, put it in first, and then slowly take off. So for the clutch, or the clutch pedal, most of the time, they're actually all clutch vehicles with a clutch. There is a thing called stalling the vehicle. Stalling it means you accidentally kill it by not giving it enough gas. So when you release the clutch, there's this, I call it the sweet spot. I don't know the actual term for it because I was never taught, but it's the best way to put it is the sweet spot. There's a spot right between where the clutch is engaged and where it's disengaged. When it's engaged, it's all the way down. So right in between it is when the clutch disc, it's 2 discs pressing together, where the disc will start the touch and it wants to make the engine move, but you're not giving it enough gas. Without the gas, it wants to die on you, so like this. It wants to start dying. Mine didn't want to die, but most vehicles do die. Sometimes it'll keep trying to drive. So what you do is you try and give it some gas, and once you find that sweet spot, which is right about there for mine, you start driving. Now to stop, you do the exact opposite. You release the gas, push in the clutch, and slightly apply brake. When you're coming up on it, apply some more brake. Coming up on your stop. Then, you'll just do the same thing. Release the clutch and apply some gas. Start to drive a little bit. And then when you come up to the next stop, you do the same thing. You can push in the clutch and apply the brake. Now, for when you start driving it, so to go from gear to gear, so like from first to second, what you're going to do is push in the clutch and release the gas at the same time, go down to the second gear, keep driving. Or, there's cars behind me, so it's my fault, but that's why I'm not giving a good explanation. So you push in the clutch, release the gas, you go up. Since my since my third gear, I apparently can't speak today. Since my third gear is up, to the right, and then up again, you go out a second, up, and then third. As you're releasing the clutch, you still apply some gas, that way it still doesn't want to die on you or bog out. Bogging out is when you're in gear and have speed to keep the engine going, but it does not have the gas to do so. So it wants to like bog down and quit on you. And then once you get up to the right speed or the right RPMs. RPMs is how fast it turns per minute, or how fast the engine will turn. So when you get up to the right amount of RPMs, that way your engine is popping out on that gear, you do the same thing. Push in clutch and release gas, and then my fourth gear is straight down, go down, fourth, and you release it and apply some gas. So the reasoning for this is inside the transmission, it's called a bell housing. It looks like a giant bell turned on its side. So when you turn it on its side, it wants to, like, you can pour that bell, you slide it sideways next to the engine, bolt it on. There's a rod going through that, and it has gears in it. Inside that bell housing with those gears, there's also a clutch and a gear on the outside too. So when you push in the clutch, it releases the disc, and you can slide it to whatever gear you want. But if you put it in the wrong gear, you will not be able to start driving once you have it in the proper gear. But if you have it in the correct gear, all you have to worry about is just getting to go, and after that, you can start driving. So there's also some vehicles that have more than 4 gears. There's also one with 5 gears, there's 6 gears, and I've even heard of some that have up to 24. Those fit with semis and bigger vehicles that need to go from gear to gear faster. Or, not faster, but need to slowly creep up through the gears to get to where they need to faster. And then there's also older vehicles, say like a 1951 Chevy. I knew that they came with one that is called a 3 on the tree. The tree is this piece right here, for that saying. And it means 3 gears, and it's right here on your, like you would be shifting a newer vehicle. It also had reverse too. So for corners, you typically want to push in the clutch, kind of slightly apply brakes, that way you don't feel like you're speeding through it. I forgot to mention that, and then if you slow down enough, you can actually go from 4th gear, and if you know you can do it, you can put it back into a lower gear, so that way you can get back up to speed a little bit faster. Now typically, for most manual vehicles, going around turns and stuff like that, if it's a giant wide bend, like on, say, a highway, or it's a giant merging lane, stuff like that, it is you could say, not a situation needed for or second gear is not needed for that situation. So that one you can keep it in third, possibly fourth gear. Now, if you're going from, say you're driving and you need to make a sudden left turn, like at a stoplight. Actually, since I'm at a stoplight, I can explain this a little bit better. If you're at a stoplight, you can put it in neutral if you want to sit there without the clutch in. I typically have it in gear, so that way I can take off faster. But you're going to want to put it in first and start out how you normally did. And then as you go around the corner, you might have to shift to second, depending on what car you have. But if you are, say, it's a green light and you're already driving, alright, so there's a good example. Go to second, and you can keep going. Same thing, you can push in the clutch, release gas, go to third, keep driving. Now, if you're going around a turn like I'm about to do, and you're already driving, you just put it in second. You're able to put it in second and keep going, because if you put it in first, your gearing is going to be so, like, your engine is going to have too much speed for that first gear, when first gear is a very slow gear. So you're able to put it in second gear and drive around that turn perfectly fine in second. Sometimes third, depending on what kind of turn you're making. If it is a left turn, you're able to keep it in third gear on some vehicles. Other than that, you would mostly keep it in second gear. So, now, to kind of finish this up, same thing for, like, whenever you're parking, stuff like that. Say you need to readjust where your vehicle is at. You kind of act like you're starting out, but don't release the clutch all the way. Hang on. I will just switch you so you can see. Okay, so now for, like I was saying in the last part, there is a, like when you're stopping and trying to pull into a spot, you do not release the clutch all the way. You will not need it. You will just need first gear and reverse, so that way you can kind of weeble wobble, you could say, or like slowly maneuver your car into different spaces. So for that, you would just lightly release it, kind of hit that sweet spot, and apply a little bit more gas, so that way it can have that speed to actually move your vehicle a bit. And then you just go from there. You would just do the opposite, to where if you want to go back forward instead of reverse, you do it that way too. When you get to the spot you want, you basically keep the clutch in, hold in the brake, and then you can shut off your vehicle and release the clutch. Sometimes people will leave the car in gear, so that way it doesn't want to roll away. Other people will keep it neutral and put it on, say, a parking brake. My parking brake doesn't work, so I have to leave it in gear. So, for the most part, I'm pretty sure that is all you need to know. If you have any other questions or something that needs answered or helped clarified, let me know on that. My name is Austin Pullman, and this is my video about how to drive a manual. Thank you.